In 2008, the Heinz Corporation did a study and found that Brussels sprouts were the most hated vegetable in America. But that is certainly not the case today. And since then, sales for the little sprout have increased tenfold. And that's in part thanks to restaurant chefs who began to really pair them with modern flavors and current techniques. And today, Christie is going to show us an awesome new way to cook them in the form of a gratin.
Well, I don't know that a gratin is the most modern approach, but who doesn't like a vegetable that's tossed in a creamy cheese sauce and baked with a nice crust on top?
Yes.
The problem is the technique. So it's figuring out how to cook the vegetables properly so that they can shine in a dish like a gratin. And we're going to figure that out.
Okay.
First, we're starting with the right size Brussels sprouts. So these are fairly small. These are about the size of a golf ball. The reason that we like to use this size is because they tend to be a lot more tender. They are a lot sweeter than bigger Brussels sprouts because the bigger ones are older. So I'm just taking these and I'm going to slice off the very tip. We don't want to cut off the whole bottom, the whole core, because that's holding them all together. And then we'll just cut these in half. Now, if you did have the bigger Brussels sprouts, it's fine. They're not bad, but you definitely want to quarter them instead of have them to make sure that they cooked properly.
Now, when you're buying Brussels sprouts, there's a few ways you can find them. You can find them loose, usually in a bin or in a bag. The second way, if you're lucky, is you can find them still on the stalk, which not only looks cool, but they're less expensive and they'll last longer in the fridge.
So I have 2.5 pounds of Brussels sprouts that I've already prepped. And I have a 13 by 9 inch gratin dish. This has already been greased. I'm also adding a tablespoon of vegetable oil, a half teaspoon of salt, and a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. We'll just mix this all together. Now, this is a broiler-safe casserole dish, and you want to make sure that you're using a broiler-safe dish because we're going to be roasting these at a high temperature. Now, I've already heated my oven. I have the rack in the middle position, and the oven is cranked to 450 degrees. We're going to roast these for 30 to 35 minutes, and we're looking for them to be a nice browned color, and the Brussels sprouts will be tender if we stick a fork or a knife into them.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. These are so hot. Like I said, this was a 450 degree oven, so we're actually going to make the topping and the sauce while these cool down just a little bit. So these can sit here anywhere between 5 minutes and 30 minutes. They'll still be warm, but they won't be this hot.
Okay.
Now, we wanted to make sure that the topping was in fact toasted and crisp. And so the best way to do that is to launch a preemptive strike and toast the topping before we put it on the casserole. So I have 1 tablespoon of unsalted butter that's melting over medium heat in a medium saucepan. I have a 1/4 cup of panko breadcrumbs that I'll pop in here, and we'll just toss these around in the butter until they're a nice light golden color. We've just been toasting these for about 3 minutes. Now, we'll put these into a bowl, and these are not for snacking.
It's tempting.
And now I'll just season these. So I have a 1/4 teaspoon each of salt and pepper that I'll add here and just toss them around. So we'll just use this same saucepan. So I'm just going to wipe it out. So now, again, over medium heat, I have 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter this time, and we are going to begin our sauce.
I have to say that's a modest amount of butter for a gratin. Usually gratins are a little on the heavy, rich side.
Oh, wait. Wait.
Did I speak too soon?
Yes. We'll get plenty of richness in there very, very soon.
Good. I'm glad to hear that, actually.
So the butter's melted. I have 1 shallot that I've minced. Just going to get some aromatics in there to bolster the flavor a bit. And then 1 minced garlic clove. And we really just want to let these cook for about a minute. By the time we can smell them, they're going to be finished cooking. We're not looking for browning here, and we certainly don't want to burn them. Now we need to thicken the sauce, thicken the base, so we'll add the other component of the roux, and that's flour. So this is 1 tablespoon of all-purpose flour, and we'll mix it in. We're just cooking this for about a minute. We just want to cook off any of that raw flour taste. This looks good. So now it's time to add the liquid. So here, so you're happy, I have 1 1/4 cups of heavy cream. and then 3/4 of a cup of chicken stock. So this will give us enough liquid, first of all, but it's also cutting that richness a little bit with some savoriness.
I like it.
Now I am going to increase my heat to medium-high. We want this to come to a boil. We're boiling, Julia.
Looks like it's gotten a little bit thicker.
And that's all we needed to do. So now I'm going to turn the heat off. I'm actually going to remove the pan from the heat. And now we add the cheese.
Tell me more.
So we're actually using a combination of cheeses. I have 2 ounces of shredded Gruyere, using half of it in the sauce right now. And this is 1 ounce of Parmesan that's been grated, and that's half a cup. That looks and smells great. It's already nice and silky. But now we need to add a few flavorings. Nutmeg, of course. This is a pinch of nutmeg, and that's so classic in white sauces.
And it really brings out that nutty flavor in the cheeses.
And then a pinch of cayenne. This is a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper and just 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt.
It's a pretty simple recipe all in all.
It's not difficult, it really isn't. So I think we're all whisked together. So let's head over to our Brussels sprouts. They've been waiting so patiently. We're in that window, 5 minutes to 30 minutes. I'm just going to pour this. It'll be a little dramatic.
Oh, goodness. The Brussels sprouts looked good without that gorgeous sauce. Now that's just gilding the lily.
All right, we move that aside. So now you might want to use your oven mitts or your towel. So we'll get this all mixed together. We're sauced up. Now we need to add the topping. So we have our nice, buttery, crispy panko. We'll just sprinkle this all over the top. You really want a single layer. If you have more than that, you're not getting any heat on it. Now the cheese. So this is the other 1/4 cup of the Gruyere. This is just going to give you that first bite of salty, nutty goodness. And it's actually going to melt and kind of give us a nice cohesive topping. So now, we're going back into the oven, same temperature, same rack that we used before, 450 degrees, just for about 5 to 7 minutes. What we're looking for is just reheating everything. We're going to look for the sauce to start boiling around the edges, and we want the whole top to get a nice golden brown color.
You're going to gratin it.
I am.
Oh, that's a beautiful gratin.
Oh yeah, you see the bubbles all around the edge? That's what we want. Ooh, yes.
Gorgeous.
Yes, please.
Looks good enough to eat, Christy. It also looks as hot as a volcano.
Yes, so we have to let this wait for 10 minutes.
Okay.
That's not so bad.
That's doable.
All right, thank you for being so patient for those 10 minutes.
No need to skimp on my account.
Okay. I love that the sauce is thickened, but it's not thick.
It's not stodgy.
It's not too tight.
Right.
Yes.
Which old school gratins used to have a very stodgy sauce. This is a more modern sauce. All right. It has that nutty flavor of the roasted Brussels sprouts mirrored in the Gruyere and the Parmesan, and then that toasted top.
Right. And the Brussels sprouts are really perfectly cooked. They're tender, but they haven't gone to mush.
That sauce. Just enough to accent the Brussels sprouts, but it doesn't take over. This is delicious.
I'm so happy right now.
Christy, thank you.
My pleasure.
If you want to make this killer Brussels sprout gratin, start by having 2½ pounds of Brussels sprouts and roast them right in the dish. After toasting some breadcrumbs for the topping, make a simple sauce using a combination of heavy cream, chicken broth, Gruyere, and Parmesan. To finish, bake the gratin for just a few minutes until hot and bubbling. From Cook's Country, an amazing recipe for Brussels sprout gratin. This is delicious.
Thanks for watching Cook's Country from America's Test Kitchen. So what'd you think?
Leave a comment and let us know which recipes you're excited to make, or just say hi.
Now you can find links to today's recipes and reviews in the video description.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
See you later.
Alligator.